Hey, welcome to another episode of People of Media. I say another episode, except this is the first ever episode of People of Media, where I interview people, influencers within media, and the goal is to inspire publishers and other people that are inside of the media space about new innovations within media and how the industry is changing. So Brent Willen is with me today. Brent, thanks so much for joining us. I love seeing your face. Brent is a friend and advocate for media, and so welcome aboard.
Oh, thank you, Johnny. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. All right. So I'm going to jump right into it. First thing I will go ahead and share my screen. Brent is the originator, creator of a group within LinkedIn called Those in Media. Those in Media has 144,000 members. And what's special about it is that it's specifically for media people. You've got someone like Brent who's actually being careful and discerning about who he lets in the group. So it's not just a bunch of spammers, and he keeps the conversation on topic. And so we're going to talk a little bit today about the origin story of Those in Media, the group, and then the heart of the founder. So I'll pass it to you, Brent, to tell us a little bit more about yourself and about the origin of the group.
Okay, well, appreciate that. Nice introduction. So basically, I'm a historian at heart. I studied history. I flipped over to government and public administration, thinking it would be easier to get a job.
Yep.
And in reality, I ended up coming out to Seattle and really was interested in the tech revolution. And my place in that was in recruiting. So there came a point where I was consulting with a interactive media company. And this was sort of the genesis of this idea of Those in Media. So probably the self-serving part of it was I wanted to get closer to the people who I was helping find opportunity for, right? But the other one was I had worked for CNN for a weekend for a political convention in grad school, and worked on a couple of documentaries. And I'm just very fascinated about media, technology, entertainment, just that nexus between innovation, creativity, and communication.
Yeah.
So that's how we got started.
And where did you first discover that passion for media, if you don't mind me asking? Like when as a child, were you interested in any of that kind of stuff, or were any of those interests carrying over to today?
Yeah, certainly from the entertainment standpoint, I remember recording our little news things on a cassette tape a long time ago, playing out movies, right? Jaws and things like that, Star Wars, these types of shows. But then as I got older, it was all about, again, history, events, and how it ties. All current events become history over time, right? So I always want to take a layer backward and figure out, but what happened preceding that, et cetera, et cetera. So I think that media is simply the first draft of history, right? So I think that's where I came into play in terms of that, was just my interest in current events, things that were going around the world, things that were happening at home, et cetera. And certainly as, cable television, which is sort of passé now, but was really a big thing at once upon a time. And it was just a really eye-opening thing to be able to capture when some big news event was happening around the world, that you could kind of see it real time. So I think that kind of inspired me.
Yeah, I'm going to quote you. You said media is the first draft of history. I've never thought about it that way before, but that does, I think, speak to something deeper that I've heard inside of you when we've talked in the past, which is this desire for things to be ethical, for things to be accurate, right? Because we don't want our history to be deceptive.
Be helpful.
Media is the first draft of history. I love that. I'm going to have to quote you on that at another time. So I think that actually speaks to our second question, was how do you define media. And I don't know. I'm going to let you go ahead and take that question, but it sounds like you've got the foundation for the answer to that question from the last answer you gave.
Yeah, and so when I speak to this, I really want to talk to that we are, in terms of our group, there are some which are more narrow. And so, when I'm starting out with interactive media, we started the group, traditional media came on in too, and they were very much welcome. So when you think about interactive media now, social media, et cetera, you think of it's a tech company, right?
Yeah.
And certainly traditional social media where they don't have true journalism, et cetera, that could be the case. But when we think about Patreon and Substack and things like that, now it's really becoming quite more blurred again. So there's a nexus there. And when you think about entertainment, we have a lot of folks from entertainment in the group as well. And, documentaries can be made from a news organization, or they could be made in Hollywood, right? So, and they could be very similar. Maybe a little bit of the take is different, but when we think about these three areas, a lot of the players are similar. Not every single category has the same thing. There's different points of motivation, but at the end of the day, this is why we're really focused on media, which is the name, technology, and entertainment, and really the creative, innovative people that make this happen. So that's the way I like to describe it.
That's great. And I think that's pretty clear. Media, technology, entertainment. You've got more of an inclusive view of media as opposed to just traditional media. Although you have, if you scroll down and just look at the members within those in media, it is a lot of traditional media people. And I don't know what the breakdowns would be, but it's 144,000 people in the group. You're probably talking about one of the largest meeting places of traditional media, including these other kinds of media that I've seen, at least digitally. So impressive. Now, do you think this is a little, might catch you off guard on this. So that inclusive, was that what you expected in the beginning? Did you expect traditional media to make its way into the group at first, or did you not?
Honestly, when we're talking about late 2007, right? So the world was very different in that time. And groups were brand new. And we were one of the top 20 groups at that time. I ended up taking a job somewhere, and legal would not allow me to work day by day, and I didn't have the time anyway. And so things sort of petered out. But the other part was, and there are groups that are 1 million members type thing, right? And we were like, this is a professional association, so we don't want to let anybody in, and we've certainly missed some, right? And it would be easy to set the automation and let people just come in, and we don't do that. So that's hampered us a bit when it comes to that. But really, it's supposed to be a professional association where folks can learn from one another, trade ideas, collaborate, share their successes, et cetera, as well as those studying, like if you're studying in the field, et cetera. So I think I lost track of your actual question.
No, you did. I think you're doing it
correctly.
No, I think you're answering it great, because my question was, if you expected traditional media to jump on board and get on board with this vision or this mission, and then you're the way that you're describing it is you at a certain time were not able to invest the amount of time into the group that you wanted to invest, and so, but yet it still continues to grow, right? Like that's also interesting, right? Like even though you had the hiatus, now you're kind of back in the seat. I've noticed you're very active with the group at this point, and all those services that you do. But yeah, I think that's great. And I will just comment, I don't interact with a lot of LinkedIn groups. I don't find most LinkedIn groups to be very useful. I find them almost unilaterally to be sales driven and salesy. And the only person that's posting is the person who owns the group. And they're posting self-serving stuff, or salespeople are posting self-serving stuff. What kind of standard? That's not happening in those in media, which is why you and I, strangely enough, even met, was because I decided to invest in that group because I saw the conversation was actually real and viable, and it wasn't primarily self-promotional. What kind of measures did you put in place to make that happen? Because that's important.
Well, I appreciate your saying that. So basically, you're going to see stuff if I like something or if there's somebody, but it really isn't about me. It's about us, right? To use the Ubuntu proverb. So my goal in my position is to lift people up, and they're communicating themselves as a professional, their company, their services, their launches. It's not about what, it's about how. Right. So there's nothing wrong with promoting your new launch, right? It's the way you need to come together as a family member, right? Guys, gals, I have a new opportunity here. I want to tell you about it. There should be something of value there, even if you don't even have a need for what the service is, right? It needs to add a value. Not everybody's doing that. And so it's a work in progress.
Sure.
But and some people will just forward something in without any commentary. We're looking for, that bit of text that either asks a question or is thought-provoking, that adds value. So we work on that too, right? Some stuff is just off topic and that's not there. Some people turn off commenting, and it's like, I like what you're posting, but if you're turning off commenting, and that's where I want to do something with you about really talking to people and your associate about really the algorithm of LinkedIn and what the value to commenting is, right?
Yes.
That's all the more interesting within a professional association, so, sure. And that's what I try to engender, is that interaction between folks. So it can be, I'm looking for a job. It can be, this is my portfolio, and so I'm looking for gigs, it can be, here's my company, here's the launch, here's services. It's more about how, and that gets back to that word that you said earlier, ethical. Yeah. So I'm always looking for an ethical angle, no matter what the business is. Can we do it ethically? Can we do it in a way that we're not, we can get by on the energy we trade with others, to borrow from somebody else, right? But let's do it in a kind and generous way and in a giving way.
Yeah. That makes sense. Because behind any great organization or great group, there's somebody who's setting the culture, right? Like there's somebody behind the scenes who's setting the culture, setting the DNA, setting the vision. And so, when you and I first met, because I've posted in the group, the only post that I've ever had go viral went viral within that group. And so I noticed, I was thinking to myself, who's running this thing? And you had commented on some of my posts, and I thought, oh, Brent, well, that's a cool guy. And then I look at those in media and I see, oh, okay, Brent is the creator or the owner of the group. Mm-hmm. And so I was intrigued, and I reached out, and that was when we first met. And I will say what I noticed from that first conversation, I wrote a couple things here that I meant to say in the beginning, but I'll say them now. These are the 4 words that come to mind for that describe Brent, you as the human. To me, humble, curious, generous, and ethical. Those are the 4 words that really, and I think that really shows forth even in the interview that we're having. And so those things filter down through the group. And so your group doesn't feel like just a spam fest, even though it has this many people, where it could easily become that, right? Like the larger the group, the more people are trying to leverage the group for their own ends. But yeah, it's okay to be self-serving, right? To your point, but not spammy and not transactional.
Right. And I appreciate your saying that, and I felt the same way when I saw how you were communicating. I felt that that connection of purpose. And then we started talking and it just became very evident, right? So I certainly appreciate your appreciation.
Oh yeah, it's not even a problem. I love, as you can tell, what lights me up is locking arms with people with a common ethos, a common vision, and really to try to benefit people. And so that's even the purpose of this interview and really the show at large. People of Media is to help and be a blessing and a benefit to media, right? Because media is in and I'm more traditional media, right? So I'm the people that are going to be following me and looking at my content are going to be more traditional media people.
Yeah.
But you know, media at large is going through rapid transformation in terms of what it is, and privacy considerations and revenue considerations, and what's not working that used to work in the past, and what does media 3.0 look like. That's a big one I like to talk about a lot.
Yeah.
And so as I even preface that, I would ask you, what's your vision for those in media?
Well, it's way past due to get the voice of the membership, right? So I think that's a big opportunity as we think about what comes next. But like I already talked about, you know, we're a platform, a professional association for helping professionals and their companies drive their message forward, to collaborate, to work together, et cetera. So and we can do a better job at that. So how can we do that? And engagement's a big piece of it. We've talked about that. So that's really a big opportunity for us within the group. When I think of it as a brand, just sort of aside from the group itself, we had a site in the beginning. Right now, I kind of see it as a portfolio brand, but maybe we'll have its own site. I see an opportunity for us to have a program. You know, we have the writers, the producers, the editors, the presenters. We have the topics. We have the people that we can interview. So I see a big opportunity to do that and sort of follow the sun, have different presenters in different parts of around the globe that target different things. So that first, we've got to get people interacting more, right? But that's an opportunity that I see, and I was influenced by a number of different examples. But when I think of, you know, now we have Substack, et cetera, and it's sort of the something to be read, right? But I think of when I was working on film, I think of Indie Media, and indiemedia.org. It's not necessarily their full political bent. I like to stay out of politics and religion because that's not something we can really share, right? Unless it's like, how do we cover something where there's something that needs to be covered but it's controversial, and how would you cover that as a journalist, kind of thing? That's fair game. But when I think about, like, in Seattle, that I went to Indie Media headquarters for some showings of films. I was in Zurich. And then I saw the sticker for Indie Media there in Switzerland. And I just love that sort of international aspect of, again, an association. Yeah. So I see that as the big opportunity, is to build a membership-driven platform where folks are able to, not as though the Indie Media thing is anybody can post anything. I do think the editorial impulse is important. And the original Those in Media, people had, it was in WordPress, not multi-site, but what came before multi-site. At any rate, everybody had their own blogs. They would post stuff, right? Yeah. And then if it looked like it was something that made sense for the lot, then we would forward that into the main site. And then from there, what was the name of that? I'm trying to think. There was an app that would immediately post that into social media, including LinkedIn groups, which they used to allow. This is before they had people writing or doing anything, and we were putting stuff into the group. I'm trying to think.
Maybe Hootsuite. I don't know, something like that.
No, it was before all that. I'm trying to think of the name of it. It got kind of banned because they didn't quite like it. You know, I don't know how people used it. I simply, like, if it got featured on the front page of the publication, then it went into the group as well as into the rest of social media. But that concept where people can write whatever they want on their areas, but if it's a value, then we can move it to the front, and then we can push it out and promote, but also have a video, not just text, but have just like we're doing now, right? Is to have different interviews, interviews journalists and interviewing journalists, interviewing media people, entertainment people, startups, those kinds of things, right?
Yeah. Oh, amazing. Yeah. Now some people aren't going to know what endingmedia.org is. So can you give a quick description of what that is?
It's an early form of citizen journalism, like Wikipedia.
Oh,
and
okay.
And it, if you go to their site now, it's like news site coming soon. It's been that way for a long time. Again, they had a certain political bent to them that I wouldn't necessarily subscribe to all of that.
Yeah.
But it's sort of more about the tool than the person that's building it, right?
Totally.
It's some journalism, but more what I would see is really an opportunity is to build, pass off content that really gets across, not just, I say all the time, I'm in the United States, you're in the United States, but we're not all in the United States. We're a global association. So we need to language is a question mark, right? And now we have translation for text, so that makes it easier. But typically speaking, English is our language of communication. But who knows what's going to be in the future?
I'll tell you what excites me, even just based on that whole description you just gave of the vision. I think I would distill it down a little bit to you're wanting to ultimately curate and distribute content, the best content. I suspect that the way that you would judge the best content is the content that's the most beneficial for advancing, informing, and benefiting media professionals or media at large. Is that fair?
Yeah, I think the parent is sort of in a very small way how the child gave birth to the parent when you think of Google and Alphabet and Facebook and Meta. Our company's called Anthropa. We're a social purpose corporation, and it has, this is where the ethical angle comes in, literally. And so I can see also if you think of those in me as the mitochondria, this is where the people are that can make everything happen. So the Those in Media brand is specifically about that association, but we have an opportunity to move over and talk more about in that brand, ethical, lifestyle, things of that nature, and broaden it a bit. So I don't want to go too deep there, but I'm just saying, but yes, in answer to your question, when we talk about Those in Media, we want to think about a professional association of journalists, innovators, creators, who can highlight what they're doing. So if you're a UX person, then you're going to have graphics, right? Or a graphic designer. If you're a film person, then you're going to have video clips. If you're a photographer, you're going to have photos. If you're a journalist, it's going to be text. But we're open to, when we think about the tech stack, we're thinking of not the stack of software, but when we think about the different areas of a business, marketing, product, sales, et cetera, then they're going to have something to speak to. And it may be, depending on who they are, it may be slide decks, it may be different types of things.
Yes.
Yes.
So then I would say part one of kind of the thing that excites me was the idea of advancing media through relevant content, right? Sorry, before I go here, you said the child gave birth to the parent, and you described those different companies, and you're saying that that's kind of what happened here with Those in Media and Anthropa. And then you said, but you don't want to go too deep into that. Would you mind just giving a quick overview of Anthropa and what Anthropa is? You said it's a social. I didn't catch everything, and I'm a little bit familiar with it, but are you comfortable doing that, or do you want me to just move on?
Sure. I mean, the most important part of it is the fact that when we promote somebody or their interweeks thing right now, we're putting on our LinkedIn page, right? Company page, which is Anthropa, not Those in Media. So if it's on our website, which is right now just really a stub, so we're working towards making that something bigger. it's on Anthropa, right? Those in Media is a portfolio brand, if you want to call it that. Social purpose corporations, they're kind of like a cheap and easy benefit corporation, if you're familiar with that term. So a benefit corporation has to do a lot of auditing to make sure that their ethical purpose is being considered. You know, they have an outside organization that audits them, like B Corp.
Yes.
With Social Purpose Corp, which is, we're an S Corp by the federal, but is a Washington state, many states and Canadian provinces have this on that level, that provincial state level, where it's a social purpose corporation, where you have a social mission. Big part for us is to support people in the industry here in those media, right? We can have others, but that's sort of our focus right now, solely. So, and that's all it is. You don't have to be audited per se, but you need to have sort of a social purpose to your business, right?
Yeah.
So makes it easy when we're small, right? So we might be aspirant to being a social purpose, a benefit corporation in the future. But that's way, that's, fantasy world at this stage. But that's what it is. And so we had an older corporation that had those in media. We reincorporated a new company because we wanted that social mission and focus.
Yes.
Plus, those in media, like we've talked about, is not a perfect brand because it doesn't encapsulate all the people. And so that's why we really wanted a brand.
Yeah.
Anthropa, you think about what is the root of that, right? People from Greek. And then the A was a classifier, like Judaica, Texana, Britannica, etc., like that.
Yeah.
So all it is, if you think about anthropology as the study of people, Anthropa is the sort of the celebration of people. So it was just sort of a broad term. It's not perfect because it's got some words that are hard, or some consonants that are hard for certain languages to speak, like Alibaba. Like that, Jack Ma went around and said, what does Alibaba mean to you? And everybody kind of knew Alibaba.
Yeah.
Plus, it's very simple vowels and consonants. Just about everybody can say it. Amazon, same thing. Everybody knows Amazon if you ever went to school, right? It's a river. It's the major river. And even the Japanese can say it because the only consonant they can say at the end of their words is an N.
Okay.
Right? So we got a little hair on the deal, right? Because there's theta or thorn, if you want to say, with the so there, but that's the reason that we chose it, because it's really about people and how can we support them.
Yes.
So it's just a bigger piece of what we hope to accomplish that isn't constrained. If you think of brands and names can constrain you, think about the United States of America, right? That of America, we love it, but at the same time, it's constraining because Hawaii is not in America, right?
Sure. I get what you're saying. Yeah.
That kind of thing, right? 50 stars, it's perfectly symmetrical. There's other political considerations, but we're not adding other places that could join and may want to join because we're afraid of messing up that perfect symmetry on our flag. So this is the kind of stuff I'm talking about.
That makes sense. Yeah. So going back then, after that detour, so we got to talk a little bit about the group itself. The ultimate purpose of the group is to benefit media professionals, right? It's a professional association for people in media, pretty broadly defined. Your definition of media is pretty broad, and that's good, inclusive. You've got a lot of people. And then there's also this larger organization that is behind those in media, Anthropa, which has a more general, broader vision for benefiting humans overall and telling the stories of humans. And so, I look forward to hearing more about that as that develops. But sticking with those in media mission and vision, I'll say the last thing that excites me about it is the potential that you have for collaboration in this group. Because, you've got level one of relationship is your your acquaintance with someone. Level 2 of a relationship is, you know, you're a friend, or an advocate. I would say level 3 at some of the pinnacle of relationship is when you actually collaborate, right? Like, we're going to do things together. We're going to lock arms and contribute to a vision that's greater than ourselves, right? Mm-hmm. And so with the amount of people, just the sheer number of people that you have in the group and the quality and type of people that you have in the group, I suspect that we're going to see in the future facilitated opportunities for collaboration for people with, and you kind of barely alluded to that a little bit, right? But if I'm a blogging coach, and there's somebody that needs that assistance, right? Or if I'm a photographer, and right, like, this would be a place where those connections could start to get built and strengthened, I would think. And the outcome, the output of that would be, we're doing stuff together. Does that excite you as well? Is that
that's all it. That's the whole concept, is that you're putting something together. You can find the people, you can collaborate with them. You might just need to break something down with somebody. That's the ultimate goal, is that people are actually producing things and making the connections, etc. So, but yeah, if they're able to produce something together, and that's what I talk about, this ultimate goal, which right now it's just a pure fantasy, but we're talking right now. So it's, the modern technology has made it so easy. We don't need Final Cut Pro to cut stuff together. So it's more about the willingness of people to come together. It's more about having a vision and a program that we can reiterate and help facilitate people moving towards working together. I think that's the opportunity and the challenge.
Yep. Yeah. But I feel I have confidence that you'll get there towards the dream. There's some of it's already happening. Like, I will say, anybody who's watching this, who is within media, whether that's traditional media or not, this would be a great group for you to join. It's by application, or nobody just automatically gets to go in the group. Brent or someone representing Brent would review those submissions and then decide. So it's but I would say one of my favorite things that Brent is doing, which is a relatively recent, you rebooted this. I think you did this in the past, but you've started doing it again, is he does this incredible summary of the people that have applied within the previous week or couple weeks.
Yep.
Links to their profiles, and then a few sentences about what they're about and what they do, their title, their affiliation, and then highlights posts that they've put up into the group. And that, to me, is like, yes, now you're connecting us, right? Now I get to become aware of interesting people doing interesting things, and now I have the option to reach out and connect with those people, or try to collaborate with those people, which I think really is the point when it's all said and done.
Yep.
Yeah. So we're at time. We're just over time, I think, and I want to respect your time, Brent. And so grateful that you were willing to sit and talk with me about the group. I leave this conversation even more excited about the vision and about what's going on within those in media. Any last words you want to give to the people that end up viewing this content?
Yeah, I just want to say, if you're in this era that we describe, media, traditional, interactive, technology, entertainment, that sort of, if you're creating, if you're an innovator, you're that kind of person, definitely connect, get into the group section and look up Those in Media and join us. If for whatever reason you get bounced, just reach back to me, let's have that conversation, so we want people that are there to contribute. We want people who have really interesting things they're doing, and they're interested in sharing it, as well as sharing their thoughts about other people's stuff too. So we welcome you.
All right. Awesome, Brent. All right. Well, you take care, and I'll see you on the flip side.
All right, Johnny, I really appreciate this. Have a good one.